What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Dirt Grease Outdoor Peace. I am finally getting committed to fixing my trailer. I've had this trailer for 7 years now, it's hard to believe. And I've never been able to store the ramps inside the trailer or underneath the trailer. It didn't come with ramps when I got it, and I don't... Maybe they possibly ordered it without ramps because there isn't even any hangers or anything in there, or evidence of hangers. There's cutouts here. Shortly after I bought the trailer, I went back down to where I bought it and they gave me a deal on these, the ramps that I have here. And I think they must weigh about 80 pounds a piece, and they're nice because you can drive just about anything up it. And they're long, so the trailer is low also, so the angle is nice getting up in the trailer. But you know, I go to a job, I unload. It used to be my small tractor, or I've hauled my big tractor or the excavator in this. And then if I have to leave and go get material, stone or mulch or whatever I'm getting, I have to set the ramps. I have to set the ramps somewhere and leave them behind. And not only do I have to leave them, you know, maybe possibly even overnight, but I'm also picking them up again and moving them again. And it's even like I had this one ramp standing up, and just picking it up while it's standing up, it's heavy, but then it's on the ground and you're picking that up and then trying to walk with it. It's just, I've got so sick over the years of having to do that. I finally got a little time here with the wet weather where I just got it in here and got committed to getting these ramps so I can store them in there. And it's not like I'm not doing anything else. I mean, I don't have anything going on right now. You know, I just built a bathroom in the house and trying to maintain a couple big properties. And I've got a Harley here tore apart. Oh yeah, I've got another Harley here completely tore apart. So yeah, I've been busy, but it's just one of those things where you just got to get committed to finally fixing it, and then once you go to use it again, you feel so much better that it'll finally be fixed. So I had an idea to use this. This is an old door track here, but it's aluminum tubing, and I like that, but it would be hard to get any other brackets bolted to it. You'd just be bolting to the aluminum. It would be just too hard to work with. And I had some other real heavy, well, it's the same. I didn't have any big C-channel. We had this 3/16 wall. I think it's 1 by 3, maybe 1 1/4 by 3 tubing, and that stuff is really heavy. So I had these old door tracks that were just a conventional style here, and it's not the heaviest duty stuff, but it is galvanized where I'm not going to grind it off to weld on it, but it actually fits in there nice. And I still wasn't sold on it really, but I'm going to put these hangers on there. The other nice thing about the hanger is it's actually right up against the edge of the ramp, and then it's still going to have room in there on the track. So at least That'll take a lot of the like side to side load, you know, driving down the road and the ramp bouncing around. So see what that feels like. I'm gonna put a plate on the end for a stop, and then I think once I get the other side in here, I'm gonna put a couple cross members in here, and I'll see what the outside looks like. Now this part of the frame stays on the ground when you dump it. The ramps are going to go with it when you dump it. So if I was going to do anything on this side, it would have to be a diagonal, which would add pretty good strength to it. And then I just had to figure out in the back here, I've got these jacks holding the ramp up, and I've got a stir stick in there for a spacer, just a little 1/8 inch gap. So then the other thing I have to come up with is how I'm gonna secure these when they're in here. I have to figure out something to you know, I had to kind of play around with some. I was thinking about a hinge, you know, like flipping up a plate on a hinge with a pin, but sometimes that stuff, just like this, it's bent up. Sometimes that stuff can get bent and then it gets screwed up. So I don't know. I still don't know what I'm going to do there. So yeah, it is one more reason to have this lift is to get stuff in the air. I can't imagine laying underneath this trailer and trying to do this work. I did have to take the rear wheels off the trailer to get these arms to clear, and I thought it was a little sketchy at first, the way I had these front arms shoved into the tires. And then I thought, well, when I raise it up, these are going to they might have a tendency to kick out. But these lifts have a lock mechanism. Once the lift is off the ground, this engages in these teeth. The arm does have a little play, but it locks it from moving, so they can't kick out. Now once this thing sits on the ground, these hit the plate on the bottom, and that lifts up and disengages that so you can swing the arm. So I'm not worried about the rear ones. Don't have any pressure pushing them out, so that wasn't as big of a deal. The front ones just looked funny the way the tires were pushing on it. So I just put that strap on there as a little extra safety. But the trailer is, I think I have it pretty well balanced on there. Most of the weight is in the back, or right in the middle there with the axles actually. But that trailer is around 3,000 pounds empty. And on that lift, I've had my truck on there, my 1-ton crew cab, and that is about 8,500 pounds with the diesel, and probably close to 9,000 pounds with all my junk in it. And this is a 10,000 pound lift. Somewhere here it says. Yeah, right there. 10,000 pound. Oh, I have some new safety chains for it. I've had these safety chains for probably 6 years or so. at them hanging up there, so I'm gonna put those on. There's a few spots on those chains from dragging that have been wore through quite a ways, and see how far we get. I would like to cut that jack off of there and raise that up a few inches. Even when that jack is all the way up, it can still drag on the ground. This trailer is really nice because it sits really low to the ground. I've seen some other dump trailers, and man, they're 2.5, almost, some of them look like 3 feet off the ground, and that's just not good for loading tractors and stuff. So yeah, this trailer is geez, it might be 20 years old. I put a new battery in it last year, and that really made a big difference on how fast it dumps, and the battery lasts a lot longer. I did put a small solar panel on it to charge the battery, trickle charge the battery. I would like to clean it up and do the what's it called? Core seal. I'd like to do the core seal, then paint it sometime. That's not going to happen right now, but eventually I would. There's a lot of times where I'm like, just get rid of it and buy a new one. Well, new ones are, at least 10 grand, and for a heavy duty 7x14 like this, are at least 10 grand now. And I wouldn't buy a cheapy one. I would probably buy a Moritz or something of that caliber. So yeah, we'll see if we can make a little progress and get this thing functioning the way it should. So I appreciate you clicking on the video and watching, and if you do me a favor, go down there and hit the like and subscribe button. Share the video if you take a second and do that, and leave a comment down below on what you're working on. Thank you. So these welded up real nice because I had this cleaned up. This up here didn't weld that great because it was still kind of rusty, but it's on there pretty good. So yeah, it's tough under here. Yeah, this is where I started, and that weld isn't really that great. It's just dirty. The dirty metal is hard. But it's actually pretty rigid. Once I think I just put a cross member in between the two sides and a little maybe a little diagonal. Maybe it doesn't even need anything. We'll just see. The one thing I wanted to do is put something on here to keep the ramp from coming in too far. Now that I think about what I'm gonna do on the back, I really don't need to, but well, that'll help rigidize it too, I guess. So I've got all this stuff came off of the garage door. This is a piece of the bracket from the garage door, and I cleaned up the galvanized on here. I'm just gonna keep it underneath that. It overhangs just a little bit here. I'll keep it down from that just a little bit. And yeah, that'll tie everything together real nice. So I'll get the welder ready and get that welded on there. So besides the braces, this side will be done, and then I just have to come up with a tab to hold it in place in the back. I think I'm just going to do like I saw on other ramps, and just have a tab that comes off of the one side, that when the ramp is all the way home, there's a pin that sticks through, and then you just put a linchpin on it. I think that's about the easiest thing to do. And it does have play in there. In this ramp, it's hard to tell on this one because this one was bent, or is bent, so there's not quite as much play. Once you start sliding it out, it has room, so it should work. So I think I'm just gonna weld a tab on here, and have a pin. The tab will have a hole in it that goes over the pin, and then I'll just put a linch pin through it. If these lights weren't here, I would probably have something that maybe went all the way across the bottom, but it really doesn't need that. I think what I am going to do on the back here is get something in the corner. This could get shoved in just a little bit, and then have a little brace here in the corner to hold that. But yeah, I think that's going to work. Don't be an axle. Depends on what kind of accent you say it with, I guess. Don't be an axhole. So now that I have a plan, it's going to be easy to tell you what I'm doing to this side. When I was trying to explain the other side, I had no idea what I was going to do, or I had no idea what I was going to use. And so I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out. I think the only thing I'm going to do different is where it's rusty up on these upper rails where I'm trying to weld to. I'm going to use the hard disc on the 4-inch grinder and get that ground down better so I can weld that up nice. So luckily the ramp gets luckily when you put the ramp in, it can hang on between the back and the one cross member there, and that kind of holds it pretty close. And then I put a stir stick across the top for a spacer, and then I use my jacks to hold it up in position, measure off of the frame rail. So be able to get this one in position, and to be able to get it laid out pretty quick now that I know what I'm doing. I'll be so happy to not be moving these things around anymore. Just gotta watch my wires. Man, things are heavy. Like I said before, I'm really lucky to have this lift. Rolling around on the ground trying to do this, or if I had the bed tipped up and tried to get the ramps in there with it tipped up, that would be a nightmare. whacked my head on it. This side, I think I had 15 3/4 off of the side. So let's see what we got. Different. See what the back is. Back, I think it is. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit different, I guess. Just a little bit. Well, it ended up being closer to 16 by the time I got it squared up, so it's only a 1/4 inch different. So now I'll just put some marks on there just in case something moves. Not that that's perfectly square, but just use that to hold it in there, and then the brackets, actually, thinking about it, I could have never figured out a way to keep these spaced, you know, like I spaced this with a stir stick up here, but I was figuring out how to space that, and the brackets are, I just keep the bracket away from the top of the ramp so it has a little space, and then these I just pull that out to weld it to the bracket, so it works out good. So now I need to grind the brackets to get the I have 4 of these, 4 of the galvanized and 2 that are powder coated off a different door frame. So I got to grind the galvanized off where I'm going to weld it, the same thing on the track, and then I'll have to grind the rail on the trailer where I'm going to weld that. So I got a little prep work to do there. Getting serious now. Got the hard disk on the grinder. I think that'll do a lot better job of getting through the rust on here, and of course protect my lungs and eyes and everything, because there's a lot of times when I was younger that I didn't, so try to protect what I got left. So it's going to be low on this end because the ramp is bent on this side. You can see how it's touching in the middle and then almost touching here. So really not a whole lot I can do about it. I'll center it on that cross member and pull it away from the ramp just a little bit. I'm not worried about this part yet. I'm just trying to get it that's tight on the ramp, and then I'll pull it away just a little bit. So I'll tack it there. Yeah, that's welding a lot better now that I got that metal cleaned up. I'll tack it in here. And then I can pull this out. Like that. Tack it. Make sure I'm good on the other end. Against the ramp and then pull it away just a little bit. Pull this out. That's what the welds sound like when it's either the really rusty, dirty metal or the galvanized gets in there. But these out here welded pretty good. So while I'm at it, I might as well do the one right in the middle. Sitting right there, it's got a good gap at the top. So just gonna center it up a little bit. I might try to clean that. The hard disk got the scaly stuff off, but it left that residue in there. That's better. There we go. Now, probably just stay right here and weld that one up. Back this up a little bit. Get you guys away from the splatter a little bit. Welded a lot better. Oh baby, smoked. That's got her. Okay. I'll weld up the other ones and go to the other side. This is what we ended up with. I threw some paint on it last night. I made some tabs on the back here, which you probably can't see that well. So I just have a bolt through there right now, but I'm gonna make some kind of a pin and weld it on the back so I can just put a small linch pin through it or something. So those are welded right on the end of the ramp there, and so now I got to get it down. It's Beautiful morning here. Supposed to get up in the low to mid 80s. I got to get this trailer down and go get a load of mulch and go mulch up some flower beds and see if I can, I don't know what the hell I'm trying to say. Can't forget my wheelbarrow. It was really nice to have this thing up on the lift. It was kind of awkward getting it up there. Now I gotta let it down. The nice thing about having the tandem axle is it kind of balances on one axle, so I can let it down, jack up the back, put the other wheels on. But boy, that really saved me a lot of messing around with laying on the ground, crawling around, trying to weld that stuff underneath there. So I appreciate you guys watching. If you take a minute for me and go down there and hit the like, subscribe button for me, share the video with your friends. If you take a moment to do that, I would appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much. So this is what I ended up with on the ramps. I put a 1/2 inch piece of steel rod through there and welded it on the inside. I might have said that already. See if there's another clip on there. Not perfect, but it works. I think this one doesn't catch like that.